Stay back! It's already done the neck.
Hey! Come on, boss! No, get there! Hey! Cat!
Come on, boss. We know which carpenter's which. Hello, I am Bentham and welcome back to Return of the Obra Dinn, which today we are playing on an IBM 8503, and we're back in Soldiers of the Sea, at death number 3, I believe, because I was having a think between episodes about how I could work out certain things, and I was thinking, how am I supposed to know which carpenter is the mate and which one's the carpenter? Because the game was saying I could do it, the faces were unblurred, so I came back to this scene. Well, I started just looking through the scenes that they were in to see where the clue might lie, and I suddenly realized, just straight there in the dialogue, I don't know if I missed it before or whether I, spotted it but just put it to the side, but straight up, the guy who dies, and it marks it in the book, says, "Come on, boss." So, that's the carpenter, and that's the carpenter's mate. Let's put them in. So this one is the carpenter, which is now right at the top of the list, because practically everything else above is gone. Actually, it's only number 10, to be fair. There we go, speared by a terrible beast just moments later, I think. Actually, no, if he was speared, then it wasn't the spike, it was, I don't know, I forget exactly what happens in scene 4, but I think it's this guy's death. He gets stabbed and then maybe it gets worse from there. So then this is the carpenter's mate. Well done, 3 more fates correct. Winston Smith Carpenter was speared by a terrible beast. John Naples Seaman was killed with a sword by Philip Dahl. Marcus Gibbs Carpenter's mate was spiked by a terrible beast. There we go, I don't know what that puts us at now. I suppose 42? It seems about right, 18 more to go. But we're not quite like 3/4 of the way around. And I'm losing count now, but we're getting close. We are definitely getting very close to the end, and it's all going to come together relatively rapidly, I think. But yes, we are done with this scene, that's the only thing to see. Let's carry on, excuse me. Just coming through, looking for the door, don't mind me. Carry on. And let's go. So, a couple things as well in the meantime, maybe just the one. I checked and Erador is Swedish. It was just the same guy switching to his native language to insult the captain, because saying it in English was probably a bad idea. So that's that solved, that's what that was about. And it was supposed to be a way of helping to clue me in, but it only made me more confused about that scene. It all makes sense now, pretty much. As well as that, was there anything else of importance in the meantime? I mean, one thing I did was I looked... The reason that I spotted the thing about the carpenters was I had another look at the crew manifest, or the crew art, the sketches. Someone pointed out something interesting. This is called underway, indicating that most likely the ship has left port at the time that this is sketched. So why is Samuel Peters here? Because he died in port. They were still loading the ship when he died. So either he was put in posthumously, or this was actually sketched before the ship left port. And the title was not necessarily correct. But yes, I had a look through this to see who was blurred and unblurred at this stage, and there are very few blurred people left. There is this guy, who I'm pretty sure is the cook. There are these 2 guys, because I've seen no way yet of working out which one is which out of the 2. I'm very curious as to what happened to this guy, because we haven't seen him in a while. I've got to assume that he dies in Chapter 5, or the first death of Chapter 6, because we don't see him after... the scenes in... The only times we see him are in Chapter 1, when he's guarding the door, and Murder, when he's watching his friend, the other guard, be executed. We don't see him again after that, even when his charges are actually being kidnapped, which seems weird. So I'm wondering where on earth he was at the time. but we must see him die at some point in the other 2 chapters. And apart from that, this guy is blurred, and that is it. Oh no, these guys are blurred, which I find quite funny, because I'm 99.9% convinced that this is the 4th mate and the 4th mate's steward, but the game still thinks there's no proof of that. And that actually ties into something else, because I'm pretty sure that, like, just based on their locations and the fact that they're always together and a bit of elimination, I'm sure that who these 2 are, without them, either of them having been referred to by name or rank at any point. Just through uniforms and location. And the thing about Charles Minor, the bosun's mate, is a lot of people were saying that they worked out who he was before the game said that they could. The reason being that he's, if I remember rightly, he is with the bosun for a lot of the Doom. So they're fighting together, and the bosun's like, and Charles Minor's like dragging away the bosun after he gets injured, after his arm gets torn off, and then he dies of that later on. So the last thing Alfred saw before he lost consciousness during the Doom was Charles Minor, and then the first thing he says upon meeting someone after waking up is, "Where's my Frenchman?" So the frustrating thing is that if, as soon as we saw Alfred's death, it said we could identify this guy, then I would have gone into the Doom and, like, analysed all those scenes and realised that that's what it was, and I would have worked it out then in a much cooler way. I would have worked it out because I would have seen them together, and it would have been like a lot of the Doom, which was, to me, was the most fun part of the game, where it was all sorts of deductions and sort of assumptions that were pretty solid and stuff like that. So I'm kind of sad that it waited till a lot later to say that he could be identified. And it waited until you see him ordering the crew around at the start of Soldiers of the Sea. That's what that was. But yeah, I really wish that it had said it when I unlocked that death in the escape, because I would have gone back and I would have investigated it and I would have realised it and been very proud of myself. So, yeah, that's unfortunate, but we have it solved now. So there we go. And yeah, it's a little bit weird in the moment because there's people that are blurred, and I'm like, I know who they are. Like, that's the 4th mate, that's the 4th mate steward, that's the cook. These are the only 2 where me and the book are agreed right now. And this one, actually, I'm not sure about this one, though I've got my suspicions about who this one is, and also who this one is. That's the thing, I feel like, in fact, I know, actually, that these 2 would be worked at the same time, because these 2 people are in the hammocks in A Bitter Cold, so they're crewmen. There are only 2 crewmen left to identify, if I remember rightly. They are Patrick O'Hagan, I think, and Hamadou Diom from Ireland and Sierra Leone, respectively. I'm going to guess that that one is Sierra Leone and that one's Ireland. I don't really know. I got it backwards, but it's confusing to me that it says that this one can be identified and this one can't. What's the difficulty? 3, so it's tough, but I have no clue. Actually, no. There is one clue, but that clue also tells me who this guy is, because in the very first scene of Loose Cargo, we hear someone say, "out of the way," and at the time I sort of wasn't really sure who was saying that, but comments have since clued me into the fact that it was this guy saying it, because he's pushing a barrel along a walkway. He says, out of my way, and then just afterwards, Samuel Peters is stood in a place he should not be stood, out of the way of this guy. So he said out of the way, Samuel Peters stepped out of the way, underneath the cargo being lowered, and then got crushed by it when the rope broke. And then that's blamed on Lars. Lars had nothing to do with it. It was this guy telling Samuel to get out of the way, and this guy ordering the cargo to be lowered when Samuel had just stepped into that area. Lars had nothing to do with it. It's a completely unfair death, though there are many, many, many of those in this particular story, of course. It's a particularly frustrating one for me. I don't know. But yeah, so his voice sounded English, I'll be honest, which doesn't make sense. But maybe I was just hearing Irish and not quite picking it up, but it was definitely like a UK accent, we'll say at least. So that makes me think that this is the Irish guy, but the game says, nope, you can't work it out yet. So that is strange. I guess we'll see his death a little bit later in the game, and maybe that's when we get clued in. But why can we know this guy right now? He's in 3 memories. The 2 in Loose Cargo, and he's in A Bitter Cold, in bed. I don't know where in bed, Maybe you can see his shoes. Maybe you can see his shoes. Hold on. I'm gonna get my notebook out, which I've forgotten about for a while, because at this point it's not got that much use left to it. Is anyone in a bitter cold still not accounted for? Number 55 with closed shoes. Okay, hang on a minute. Let's go back to loose cargo. Oh, it's right down here. Okay, get out a minute. Come on. Come on. Stairs take so long. Down we go, and let's go look at Samuel's death, I suppose. We can listen to the voice again, see if we can pick anything more about it, but I think we've got it.
Wait! No!
Alright, so we hear the voice saying out of the way, and it just sounds like a generic English. Let's see if we can get a look at the shoes. But let's look at the... here he is. This guy's shoes. They appear to be closed, though we don't really get a good look at them. He's got longer trousers tucked into the shoes. Like a jacket and stuff. Don't think there's anything else to work out there. And let's go round the side. Oh, by the way, between episodes I was interested and I went and checked, and you can actually just walk up here and walk straight back out again. In this scene, it's only in the second scene where he's moved a barrel a bit that it becomes this this trap. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, you just can't see it. It's in complete shadow. It seems like they're closed shoes as well, in which case that's not the hint. Which then throws me off a bit, because I was guessing that was the big clue. Oh, actually, hold on a minute. Do we not see the other one in a hammock then? Because everything else in here is crossed off. Have I got things mixed up? Oh no, they both have closed shoes. They're both marked on my chart. Both have closed shoes. Why does it think I can work out either? Should I go back to a bitter cold and take a look? Like, now that there's only 2 people left, I might be able to spot, like, some sort of difference between them that I can use. I forgot to check, like, more details about the clothing of the other guy. Is he in the chart? Well, this is... Oh yeah, this is the right chart. Well, we can't see his shoes here at all. We'll be able to get a really good look at them in the execution scene. But I think we'll take a look in a bitter cold and see if there's any hints. Because if there's nothing there, then there's nothing anywhere, and we can just leave it for now and work it out later. Is it over here? No, it's down. It's down here. The guy that's wrapped. The one we want. Here he is. Not the giant spider. This. Oh, come on. That's the one. Let's take a look. Just skip through. Okay, so it's over here. 58. 55. Little shoes, bit of a heel. That's all we can see. You're snoring. Interestingly, that's probably not a clue. You never know. Oh. Aha! We have buttoned shoes on this guy. I didn't see any buttons on these, but is that because it's too dark to see? They've got a heel as well. You see, this shoe up here is in complete darkness. If we look up at the leg, I'm not seeing pants tucked into the boot there, but I'm not seeing that here either, so they're probably dressed differently in this particular scene then. So this isn't a way of identifying them, suppose. Oh, hello. I can't see anything there. And there's nothing on the ground, there's no personal effects of any kind that I can see. Absolutely nothing. So all we've got is one accent to go off, which doesn't actually match, but it seems to be a UK accent, which would then rule out Sierra Leone, presumably. So that's what I've got to go off. But then why would it say that the guy actually rolling the barrel isn't identifiable? It doesn't add up. I might be getting something confused somewhere, but it just seems like it doesn't quite make sense. Perhaps we'll get another clue later on. It seems like they're both alive during chapters 5 and 6. And there's quite a few deaths in 5, so that's probably the place we need to go. I think maybe there's nothing else that we can work out right now. Well, the book says otherwise, but not always sure if I can trust it. Sometimes I like to have more information about certain things first. Okay, so there's anything else? Any other stuff to be thinking about? I think we just want to get into the next scene in the chain and get to the end of chapter 6, Unholy Captives. Was this guy just clumsy? Let's find out.
Clear the deck. Move the boat to stern and throw the bodies over.
What's your foot in?
Hey there, what's this? Give him to me and I can fry us a solid meal, boys.
Careful now. Take it slow.
Want it, gentlemen? There's a pretty shell here. Let's have a look.
No, get back.
Okay, what happened here? Ah, it lashed out. Oh, and it's got a lot of spikes hidden underneath. We didn't see those earlier. Yeah, it's the cook. He's like, I can cook this. This is a me thing. And they're like, no, it's not. It's still alive. And yeah, the thing just flails and it just slaps him so hard he dies. Huh. Covered in spikes. Can we see the rest of him? I don't know if it's wrapped. Like, is this like a shrimp or is it? I've got a suspicion about what else it might be. We'll have to see. Yeah, a couple of people hanging about here doing their things. If there's any interesting clues here. Oh, this guy. Oh, that's, oh yeah, he's off to get his sword probably or something. Ready to continue the story. Oh, this is chapter 5. I'm getting mixed up. Yeah, chapter 5, Unholy Captives. Chapter 6 was Soldiers of the Sea. Is this how did they die? I'm gonna... It's the cook. It's obviously the cook. It's obviously been the cook for a while. He was... slapped? I don't think slapped is an option. Struck. Struck by a tail. There we go. Struck dead by a beast's tail. And that's him. Of course, we've got to have 2 more before we get any further. Now, where's the body? I didn't see one. Doesn't seem to be the creature itself. It seems very much alive, but the top deck. Oh, there's a lot more going on here. Alright. Let's take a moment. Let's have a look through everything. There's a lot of people in this scene. This might be one of our busiest scenes in the whole game. So we've got all the midshipmen hanging around here. That's all these guys. We know all their fates, I think. To my knowledge, they're all resolved. Let's get the list out. Because did we get that all sorted in the end? We still don't know who knifed the midshipman, though. That reminds me, another thing. So, Fancy Hat Guy. Let's take a moment. Fancy Hat Guy. We've been following his story for a very, very long time. And for a long time, it's said that we can work out who it is, and I have had no idea what that reason was, why that was the case, and I was never quite sure who it was, and there was always a few options in the higher ranking crew that made it that I couldn't just, like, work it out by, elimination. But now I can. I know who the 4th mate is. These guys as well, we know all those. Everyone down here, we know. Down to the passengers, through the stewards. We know the ship steward as well, I just haven't filled it in, I don't know. And yeah, right down to, like, all the lower ranking crew, and they're obviously not going to have a fancy hat. So it's got to be one of the guys up here. There's only one gap left, apart from that, which we don't count, and that we don't count. It's obviously not a passenger. It's got to be the gunner's mate. Oldest waiter from Poland. And, look, everyone's been telling me the clue now. I think they've all been using the spoilers thing, but they didn't hit enter enough times, so it still appeared, and I spotted it before I realized what I was reading. But either way, through elimination, I was working it out at this point anyway. But what everyone was pointing out is that he is the only guy who is regularly armed, like, throughout all the scenes he's in. Also, he was manning the armory at a couple of key times, and he was running around delivering guns and stuff, so it's like, that clues in that he's the gunner. But the thing that threw me off is that all the other mates, the carpenter's mate, the surgeon's mate, the bosun's mate, all of those are just, like, in pretty much plain clothes. They've got, like, slightly fancier outfits than normal, but they've got, like, they're just wearing pants and a shirt, and, like, I don't know, the surgeon's mate's got, like, suspenders or something. They never have, like, a hat, but everyone who is an important person who's leading a mate usually has a hat. So the bosun has a hat, the gunner has a hat. Admittedly, the carpenter doesn't have a hat, so this recent discovery has sort of broken down the consistency of it. But up till now, it seemed like all of the ones dedicated to a role, the heads of a role, would have a hat, and their mate would not get one. And the hats were like a mark of office. But no, it turns out that I would say the gunner's mate has a fancier hat than the gunner. The gunner's just got a top hat on. Apparently, though, that's an Austria thing. So that's another thing. The bosun and the gunner both wearing top hats. Apparently that's Austrian. So maybe I was misunderstanding, and it's the case that there aren't the hat. Well, what determines a hat of office then? Because that means that maybe the gunner doesn't wear a hat, or maybe they have a different hat, and the gunner's mate gets that really fancy one. Maybe the gunner's mate is wearing the gunner's hat because the gunner already has his top hat and doesn't want to switch it out, so he gives the hat to the gunner's mate. But that's a convoluted series of events, to my mind. So, yeah, that was the thing that threw me off. It was the hats. Like, well, the hat means he must be one of the higher-ranking ones. Like, for a long time I thought he was one of the mates, till I realised the fourth mate was off to the side and not hanging around with the rest of them. But now, through elimination and through the fact that, yeah, he is armed the whole time and he does carry around guns and stuff, I suppose that that's who it is. Fancy hat guy, the mystery is finally resolved. He is Olus Waiter, the gunner's mate. And he was shot with a gun by an unknown attacker. We surely know who that is now, but I actually forget who. We'll have to go to the scene, so let's do that. I like how we're just doing this in the middle of working out one of the scenes in a different chapter, but I just suddenly was like, oh yeah, fancy hat guy. I did work that out in the meantime. That was why I was racking my brains earlier. Felt like I'd missed something, and I had. Ah, so it was the fourth mate that shot him, but we've not had that confirmed. I feel like for that reason I shouldn't fill it in yet out of principle. One thing I can do is go back to the first part. Oh no, it's the end. He dies later of the wound, so he dies. Thomas Lank dies at the end. And yes, the one who stabs him is, of course, if we can find it, Olus Waiter. There we go. So that one's resolved. So only one more, and we have it sorted. There's a lot that we can technically resolve, but I feel like leaving for now. There we go. The mystery of Fancy Hat Guy has finally ended. Okay, I wonder if we can see anything out the windows, actually. That'd be interesting. Because there should be some boats out there. I bet that's a thing. I bet we can see the boats. Just gonna check all the windows. Anyone around here? Around the cook's area? Seem like it. Boats out this side. Gotta be here somewhere. Oh, that one's sealed. Oh, is that because the boats are there? And this one's sealed, and then this one's not sealed. What's this about? Oh, there's the boat. Okay, it's been raised, so they closed those portholes to stop the windows being knocked off by the boat being raised, I suppose. Fair enough. Is there one over here? Did I check over here? Yeah, there's nothing going on. Alright. So there's midshipmen just hanging about, doing nothing. They just seem to sit about watching stuff a lot of the time. We got this guy here. Oh, that's ship steward, I believe. And then we've got oh, is that Nathan Peters? Yeah, it is. So he was carrying it before, and he sort of ends up not towards the end, I think. Indians there. There's our new friend John Naples. And then yeah, the cook getting slapped in the face to death. What a way to go. Wasn't even the spikes, I think. Well, maybe. And then here we have 2 stewards hanging about. So another hint that they are those particular people. Let me see, actually. Does it show? Still doesn't show them as identifiable. Right, now up to the top deck, where there's a lot going on. So, guy with box. One of the Chinese ones, they're all resolved. Who's this guy here? That's, that's Nicholas Botterill. Speared a little bit later, one of the top men, so he's up in the rigging. Here's the boat we got here. Another one of the Chinese topmen. So they're loading the big box on. Just a couple of guys all identified, I believe. Yeah, we know all of these. And there's Lars. Good old Lars. Nothing in the boat. All the people have already been taken out. More Chinese topmen, and then here is where a bunch of stuff has gone on. A few different deaths, it looks like. So I think we're going to go just through 2 chapters. Now everyone's still alive. Oh, it's a big old spike in him. So they find the boat, someone's been stabbed, they bring him on board to look at how stabbed they are. And all that. Oh, here's the some of the high-ranking crew. So the captain's talking to Martin, and the guy can never remember. William, that's it, William Hoscott. Is that the bosun or the gunner? That's the gunner, don't see him around much. And yeah, there we go, so gunner's mate. The clues are becoming very obvious now. Why did he just draw the gun? Like, did he? What was going on down there and think, I guess, yeah, you heard the guy riling up the creature and was like, oh, I might need to go down there and do some shooting of people or other stuff. Surgeon's mate, that's Brennan, isn't it? Good old Brennan with his hat. Later mutinies, of course. Anyone up in the rigging hanging about? Right, how many people present in the scene? Just to make sure we haven't missed anybody. Unholy Captives. Wait, no. I'm getting confused now. Alright, of course, we're moving forward in time. I keep forgetting that, yeah, we're constantly moving earlier and earlier in time as we investigate. So it's part 2. That's the one. So, 28 others present. Let's have a quick head count then. Pop downstairs first, because that's the easy bit. 28 people. So, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11... 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. These are both dead. Perhaps they both count as the same death, actually. That's possible. Well, let's find out. And, oh yeah, they're both the same one. Alright then. And where exactly is this going to take us? Because I'm suspecting that this death maybe doesn't happen on the ship. We shall have to see though, because that would take the chapter. That would make the chapter boundaries very confusing. And leave a lot of stuff unresolved, I think. If the chapter takes place elsewhere, but maybe only part of the chapter takes place elsewhere. Maybe I'm completely wrong about it. Let's find out. Let's get straight into it.
What the hell is going on? What do you know about these things? About the chest and your dead friends?
这是虾米？未来全部供出来，
拢是恁害啦！迄个害得较对人无顾好，是让人稳死的啊！
He talk about a shell. Very dangerous.
Shell? What shell?
Okay. Oh, what is... Oh, they were holding the thing in and it shot them while they were being interrogated. Oh, so it's this guy! Wait, so who's who here? This is... that guy. Oh, yes, he's holding him. And then... I would guess, yeah, so he's being interrogated, he's interpreting. So he stayed. He was left behind on the ship, and when they're hauling them back in, with lots of things having apparently happened. Oh yeah, there they are. Okay. Yeah, so they're hauling everything back on board, and they're like, okay, you clearly know something here. What's going on with the shells? Or I guess he clues them into the shells. So does that tell us who's who? I think that still doesn't. Maybe I missed something. I need to look at the transcript again. Yeah, so he's just unfortunately holding the guy while it gets stabbed. That's a shame. Oh, we still can't identify him apparently. That comes along later. I guess he's around for the previous chapter though, so he can get named there maybe. Yeah, let's have a look at the transcript. What do you know about this? The chest and your dead friends. And then, so the guy interpreting says, "Who are they? This is your fault. The shell must be protected, or we will all die." So this is just a plot, I feel like. There's not much going on in terms of clues about people. But this is how we get to chapter 4. We actually get to it from inside another chapter, which is a new thing. So that's why I was sort of confused for a while as to what was going on there. So yeah, we'll mark how they die. So, don't know who you are, but we know that you were spiked. Many people died to spikes. And you were also, unfortunately, spiked. And it says we can work you out, but I don't know. I'm not confident enough. I've got my suspicions, but I'm not confident yet in who you actually are. Now let's see what else is going on in the scene. It fires a couple of them, actually. Oh, it nearly gets the captain! Oh. That was close. Don't worry, the captain does it himself later. So yeah, we got dead bodies. Quite a few of them. Let's see who exactly. Alright, so, second mate. And then the two kidnapped ones. The Formosans. Henry Evans looking up at the thing being lowered. That's a lot of spikes. That's more than one of the things, I would say. A lot of spikes going on there. We got Martin watching, we got John Naples watching the unloading. They're grabbing the big old chest. William's here. Oh, they're turning this thing. Ah, for hauling the thing, of course. There we go, we actually see the thing in use. They take the, well, they haven't taken these. I thought that the point of these was you, like, pull them out and slot them in, but I guess they're actually just footholds, like, so you can help get some traction as you turn the thing and you get the things you slot in from elsewhere. Yeah, they all turn that, that's all good. And then, anyone in the rigging? Doesn't seem like it. Okay, so it said 15 present, I believe. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Of course, these are both dead. They don't count. Yes, and that's 15. There we go. We see more roll stuff here. Oh, Bosun nearly gets stabbed, but yeah, Bosun's mate staying together. It's establishing those relationships more and more, which is interesting because the book doesn't count them as clues. It's just another extra thing that it builds up over time. But okay then. Like, I don't think there's much to guess from here right now. I mean, everyone else here we pretty much got resolved. We know how they all die. It's just these two we're not quite sure of. All right. Well, let's go. Let's look at one death at a time. We'll be going into chapter 4. Forget the name of it already, but Unholy Captives is complete. 5 deaths. Alright. Nobody going missing. So yeah, the going missing thing is actually rare, though it looks like there's one more here, people that you don't see again. It looks like, I was going to say it looks like we're going to see the fate of one boat, but no, because the two Formosans were put on separate boats, it seemed like. Both boats return. Maybe we'll only see the fate of one boat, though. That's possible. Or maybe... I'm not sure. But yeah, there are 6 parts to it, and there are 6 people on those boats. I think it was 8, actually. I think it's 8. Now I actually think about it, yeah. There's 8 people, 6 death events. So yeah, there's a couple people that go missing then, I suppose. Let's follow this one along, but I think that's where we'll finish for today, and then next episode we will dig into Chapter 4. Where are you off to? Oh, come on. Here we are. So this is interesting. Because I think the next chapter is going to take place out on the boats, nowhere near the ship. And therefore, there can be no more clues about people on the ship, except for maybe a couple in dialogue. So, let's go have a quick look at the chart now and see if there's anything left unidentifiable. These 2 still aren't. I guess we'll hear his name while we're out on the rowboats. And then, how about this guy? Still not identifiable. Am I mixing up who he is? Like... Wait, no, I think this is the guy that leaves, actually, with the boats. So we can identify him out there. Show them on the deck map. I believe, actually, that he is one of the people. Yeah, he's in Murder Part 3, and we know that the 3 people in Murder Part 3 that don't leave on those boats are all already identified. That's like Lars, the helmsman, and one of the midshipmen. So he must leave on the boat in Murder Part 3. So that's how we work him out. I don't know why it waits till then, because through elimination, the fact that we can work out this guy, we should be able to work out this guy, but then maybe it doesn't include elimination as a method of working out identities. And it still says we can't identify these 2. Why? How are they gonna come up in Chapter 4? Maybe that one will be by elimination, because it will establish Edward Nichols. We'll find it as death, and therefore it'll get locked in, and maybe it'll go from there. Let's see. But yeah, I think there's a lot of identities we can put in, and maybe it's about time we did. Maybe we should do that. Because there's somewhere it's like... While I would like to see clues in, like, dialogue and stuff, we should probably just get them filled in, because we do know them, just by the fact that we know everyone else. So, like, this guy is the ship's steward. Zungi Sathi, who never speaks, as far as I can tell. So we never hear his accent anywhere. He was shot. Trying to remember. Perished in Soldiers of the Sea Part 7. Ah, yes. I believe he was shot by the bosun's mate, but I'm not quite sure. You know what? We got a little bit of time. Let's go and have a look at that scene. Because I was hoping I'd get more clues, like, later on as to who the killer, the accidental killer was, but the thing is that we only go back in time. So, well, one thing we can do is identify who's holding what gun. So, like, a quick look at 2 scenes might clue us in, and then we'll be good. But yeah, let's just go take a look at this one, and just look through the portholes and see, well, not the portholes, whatever they're called. So, yeah, that looks to me like the bosun's mate. It seems like it's striped. Not sure. Well, that was one other thing that people mentioned. Let's get out of this scene. Another thing that people mentioned about the whole thing, where the bosun's mate, who was French, was wearing a striped shirt. And I was like, really? Really? Because that's like a stereotype. But people have explained to me how that stereotype came to be. That is the uniform of French sailors, or it was at the time. And then the reason it became a stereotype of all French people was because, of course, English people would more likely see French sailors than any other French people, and so they would be wearing the striped shirt, and so they came up with the stereotype that all French people wear striped shirts, or that kind of thing, or like the stereotypical French person does. So that's what that was. Now what I want to do is just, like, pick any old scene, really, a little bit later on. Let's go with this one. And see the guy holding the gun, and then we're sure. So let's have a wander over here. I imagine he's around here right now. Yep, here he is. He's just being handed the rifle. So that's what that is. And that was some lovely sounds we heard there. But yes, we can mark it down at the end. Or almost the end. Wait, almost the end? Hold on. Oh yeah, because that guy... Oh, now I remember. Yeah, so he stabbed it. So he got impaled earlier in the fight, then came back later and stabbed the thing to finally finish it off. So that's quite cool of him. But yeah, so we know this guy. He was shot accidentally by... where is he? The bosun's mate's Charles Minor. Soldiers of the Sea complete, and 45 unlocked. Well done, 3 more fates correct. Thomas Sefton Cook was struck dead by a beast's tail. Zungi Southeast Tip Seward was shot with a gun by Charles Minor, the bosun's mate. And Thomas Lank was knifed by Olus Waiter. Or Weater? I don't know, whatever. I forget the spelling. And that is 45. We are 3/4 of the way through the game, and I think the final quarter is going to go relatively quickly. Because it's just going to be a lot of elimination, working out stuff. Like, I think right now, I could complete more. But I think we'll leave it there, because it's like... I can fill in that one, and then that's one. I can fill in that one. That's one complete. And then, what else? Maybe that's it, actually. Maybe that's all I can... do. I can guess that one. I can guess that one, but that won't complete a death. Why isn't this one done? Do we not know the killer? Appears in 2 memories. I want to know the one where he perishes, but it won't let me do that, so... He appears there, and then when? Let me see his death. Damn it. Go back to the sketch and just go via the deck map to it. Okay, you, memories, deck map. Where's the other scene where you die? Presumably, or maybe you don't die. Murder part 2. Murder part 3. Oh, you're the mate that leaves. So yeah, we haven't seen your death yet. That's why it doesn't mark the perish time. Perish time? The moment of the perishing scene? Whatever. So yeah, I think we can get a couple more, only a couple more resolved. But let's go to that chapter and see what happens before then. But that'll be for next episode. How do I get out of here? Where's the door? Is it over here somewhere? It likes to hide at like different floors. Maybe not. There it is, right back there. Excuse me, coming through. Sorry. Yep. Good luck. There we go. So next episode we will get to the final chapter that we can see apart from the bargain. And I think we're going to be finding out what happens out on the sea on those boats. Them being attacked by those things that we shall soon get a better look at. And yeah, we're very close to the end. 2 or 3 more episodes, I think, at most. Out there, apparently, is still the shell. The single cursed shell, it seems like. They keep calling... Like, sometimes people say shells, but sometimes they just say shell. I think maybe there's just the one shell. And it's got some sort of curse tied to it. They were trying to take it somewhere, and the voyage went wrong, and it all went downhill from there. But soon, I think we will see exactly what is wanting those shells back. Or whatever it might be. But, we'll find that in the next episode. So with that, I shall say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.